After a rocky start, the ceasefire between Israel and Iran appears to be holding. Israeli and U.S. leaders remain confident the airstrikes destroyed Iran's nuclear program.
Well, Iran says it's already starting to rebuild its facilities to continue enriching uranium. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
In Washington, the State Department is optimistic the ceasefire will hold.
There was some activity back and forth, and that has stopped, and the ceasefire has taken effect, and the president is pleased.
In central Tehran, thousands remain defiant, shouting death to Israel and death to America.
We don't approve of the ceasefire at all. We will continue fighting until we are either martyred or win. God willing, Iran will eventually own a nuclear bomb.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu assessed the impact of Operation Rising Lion.
For dozens of years, I promised you that Iran would not have nuclear weapons. Therefore, with all the actions that our fighters have taken, we brought to ruin Iran's nuclear program. And if anyone in Iran tries to revive this project, we will act with the same determination and the same strength to put an end to any such attempt.
President Trump emphasized to reporters the U.S. and Israel stopped Iran's nuclear program.
They're not going to have enrichment, and they're not going to have enough weapons. The last thing on Iran's mind right now is nuclear weapons.
However, the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization announced it has begun building a new uranium enrichment facility and said of the regime's nuclear program, "Our plan is not to allow any interruption." With the ceasefire holding, Israel is turning its attention back to the war in Gaza. The IDF announced 7 soldiers were killed in a Hamas attack on an armored personnel carrier. Also, the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is asking the UN to stop fighting its effort to feed Gaza's civilians and condemn Hamas's killing of several of its humanitarian workers 2 weeks ago. GHF Chairman Reverend Johnny Moore wrote to the UN, "Silence in the face of such violence is not impartiality or neutrality, it is abandonment." In just a few weeks, the GHF has distributed more than 40 million meals to hungry Gazans. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thank you, Chris. Here at home, security agencies are preparing for potential retaliation by Iran. They're warning Americans about a possible threat from Iranian sleeper cells already inside our country. Dale Hurd has the story.
After President Trump left the G7 summit in Canada a day early last week, it was learned he had received a message from Iran that if the U.S. attacked Iran's nuclear facilities, the regime could activate sleeper cells to launch terror attacks in the United States. The FBI says assets are fully engaged to prevent an attack, and Homeland Security is warning of a heightened threat environment, but saying little else.
What information do we know right now in regards to those sleeper cells? How is DHS tracking and following and seeking information in regards to
I can't necessarily share that with you, but I will tell you that we are continuing to evaluate every single threat and to proactively go after them before they do anything or take any activity.
This week, federal immigration agents have arrested 11 Iranians here illegally. One arrested in Alabama was an Iranian Army sniper. Another in Houston was carrying a loaded pistol. Counterterrorism expert Barak Siner in London says Iran, defeated on the battlefield, may see a sleeper cell attack as the only way it can hurt the United States.
The entire identity of Iran is a terrorist state. The reach is global. It attempted to conduct a proxy attack in the UK, in Sweden, in Argentina, Cyprus, Thailand.
And he believes Iran took full advantage of the Biden administration's open border policies, in which millions of illegal migrants entered the U.S.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of Iranian nationals passed through the doors of the United States.
CBN's Chuck Holton has reported from Panama's Darien Gap, where migrants must cross on their way to the United States. And he says he encountered many Iranian men.
Every Iranian that I met in the Darien Gap was a military-age male, and I didn't meet any Iranian women at all. They mostly spoke English, so they were well educated, and none of them were with their families.
Last year, the Justice Department uncovered an Iranian plot to kill Donald Trump before the election. Washington also knows that a Hezbollah sleeper cell called Unit 910 is operating in the United States, ready to carry out Iran's orders. Iran, though, may also take a different route. A cyber attack. The Commission on the National Defense Strategy warned senators last year that the United States is unprepared for a devastating cyber attack that will bring life in towns and cities across America to a standstill.
The public is essentially clueless about the massive cyber attacks that could be launched any day by our adversaries, not just nation states, but rogue actors as well.
Iran in the past has hacked into water systems in several states and could use what it's learned to attack America's critical infrastructure, including internet, power, transportation, and financial systems, in an effort to make almost everything from phones to gas pumps to cash machines to traffic lights suddenly stop working.
We're in a cyber cold war today. We've got vulnerabilities with air traffic, radar systems. We've got vulnerabilities in our 911 systems.
The potential targets for Iran are numerous, and defending everything will be difficult.
All right, well, Dale Hurd certainly has our attention, and he joins us now for more. Dale, this Hezbollah cell unit called 910 sounds ominous. What can you tell us about it?
We only know about it because they nabbed agents as they were taking photos of potential targets in New York City. We don't know a lot, but we know that it's Hezbollah, and Hezbollah does Iran's dirty work, and it adds another layer to the sleeper cell threat.
What about cyber attacks on the U.S.? How prepared are we to defend against a cyber attack?
You know, I interviewed the man responsible for protecting the U.S. grid from a cyber attack, Dr. Andy Bachman at Idaho National Lab. And his message was, we're doing a lot. We're doing the best we can. It's probably not enough. And I came out of that thinking people need to have reserves of food, 30 days. If possible. And I would also store fuel if you can do it safely, because everything could stop working, including gas pumps, in a major cyber attack.
Well, you mentioned storing things up there. Is there anything else, individuals, families can do to guard against a terror attack in general?
I would just say we don't want fear of a sleeper cell attack to kick off some national witch hunt or the abuse of Iranian Americans, many of whom came here fleeing the Iranian regime. That said, people need to exercise situational awareness. The experts call it condition yellow, especially on July 4th. I don't have any intel, but I think Iran would love to hit America on the 4th of July. Just be aware. If you see something strange, take note of it.
All right, Dale, thanks. Great counsel. Be alert. Be alert to your surroundings. Appreciate your reporting very much.